From knowledge to action, building your property management business the right way. At this point in the course, you've learned the laws, the violations, the accounting systems, the trust account rules, and the real-world risks of property management. You've also asked yourself the most important question: is this the right business for you? Now we take the final step, building a plan. Because here's the difference between brokers who struggle and brokers who succeed in property management: systems, preparation, and execution. This section ties everything together and shows you how to move from knowledge into action while minimizing risk and maximizing opportunity. Establish policies and procedures, your first line of defense. The foundation of any successful property management business is strong policies and procedures. This connects directly back to broker supervision, R428-1103, and everything we discussed about violations in Section 9. Your policies should clearly outline how you handle tenant screening, rent collection, maintenance requests, trust account procedures, communication standards. For example, a strong tenant screening process should include credit checks, background checks, employment verification, and reference checks. Without consistent policies, every decision becomes subjective, and that's where mistakes and violations happen. Systems create consistency. Consistency creates compliance. Accounting systems, the core of your business. Let's connect this directly back to Section 11. Accounting is not just part of your business, it is the core of your business. If your accounting systems are weak, everything else will eventually fail. For example, if you cannot properly track rent, deposits, and expenses, you will struggle during audits, create disputes with owners, and risk violations under ARS, Paragraph 32-2174 and Paragraph 32-2175. Strong accounting systems protect your license, your clients, and your business. Seek legal counsel. Protect yourself before problems start. One of the smartest moves a broker can make is working with a qualified real estate attorney. This ties directly back to Section 8, PMEA, and Section 10, legal scenarios. Your lease agreements and property management agreements should be reviewed regularly to ensure they comply with current laws and protect your interests. For example, your PMEA should clearly define repair limits, authority, and responsibilities. If a $5,000 HVAC repair is needed and your agreement only allows $500 without approval, you need clear direction before acting. Legal clarity up front prevents disputes later. Prepare for the unexpected because it will happen. Property management is not predictable, it is reactive. Things will go wrong. The question is not if, but when. For example, the AC goes out on a 110-degree weekend in Phoenix. A water heater floods a garage at midnight. A tenant stops paying rent unexpectedly. If you do not have a plan, these situations turn into crises. If you do have a plan, they become manageable problems. Preparation reduces stress, protects your client, and keeps you compliant. The rewards. Why brokers choose property management. Let's tie this back to Section 14. Despite the challenges, property management offers significant benefits. It creates recurring income, builds long-term client relationships, and provides stability, even in changing markets. For example, when sales slow down, property management income continues. It also allows you to serve clients in new ways, helping investors, landlords, and long-term property owners. This can become a separate business line that grows and even becomes sellable in the future. Weathering the market. A counter-cyclical advantage property management often performs well when traditional sales slow down. For example, during market downturns, more people rent instead of buy, increasing demand for property management services. However, this also comes with challenges, tenants struggling to pay rent and owners facing financial pressure. This is where strong systems and communication become critical. Knowing when to say no. Not every agent or broker should pursue property management, and that is okay. If you decide it is not the right fit, the best move is to refer your client to an experienced property manager. For example, referring to a qualified professional protects your client and keeps you within your area of expertise. One of the biggest risks we discussed earlier is accidental property management. Even simple actions, like checking on a property or coordinating services, can create liability if you do not have a proper agreement in place. If you are involved, you must be protected. Stay in your lane. Avoid unlicensed advice. As a real estate professional, you must be careful not to give advice outside your expertise. For example, tax advice. Refer to an accountant. Legal advice. Refer to an attorney. Entity structuring. Refer to a professional. This ties directly back to your duties under AAC R4-28-1101, exercising reasonable care and recommending expert assistance when needed. Build it right, the long-term perspective. Property management is not a quick win, it is a long-term business. The brokers who succeed are the ones who build systems, follow the law, and commit to continuous improvement. If you do it right, it can become one of the most stable and rewarding parts of your business. If you do it wrong, it can become one of the fastest ways to face complaints, audits, and disciplinary action. How this section wraps up the course. This final section ties everything together. We started with laws and compliance. We moved into agreements, violations, accounting, and supervision. We explored real-world scenarios and personal fit. Now we end with action, because at the end of the day, property management is not about knowing the rules. It is about building a business that follows them every single day. Online discussion. Why are policies and procedures critical in property management? Answer. They create consistency, reduce risk, and ensure compliance with laws and regulations. How does preparation help reduce risk in property management? Answer. It allows brokers to respond effectively to unexpected situations, preventing crises and violations. Why might a broker choose not to pursue property management? Answer. Due to the high level of liability, regulatory requirements, and operational demands involved. Multiple choice questions. What is the foundation of a successful property management business? Strong policies and procedures. Answer. Strong policies and procedures. What is the role of accounting in property management? It is the core system that tracks and protects client funds. Answer. It is the core system that tracks and protects client funds. What should a broker do if property management is not the right fit? Refer clients to an experienced property manager. Answer. Refer clients to an experienced property manager.